What's up everyone, and thank you for stopping by the channel. Today's project is this well-used Toro commercial mower, and the problem is that it will not start. Let's take a good look at it, find out what's wrong with it, and hopefully we can fix it. In this video, we try and repair this mower. However, it may not be the exact repair that you need to make to yours. We'll explore other options later in the video. I see these mowers on a lot of lawn service trailers, and for good reason. They simply last. This one is almost 2 decades old and was used commercially for a lot of those years. However, this one has since been retired to residential use, but time has finally caught up with it. This mower was running fine until it stopped running, and then it wouldn't start up again. Now, I never know what really happened when it stopped running, so I'm just going to pretend I don't have any history on it instead. Now there's still fuel in the tank, so the next thing I want to do is try and start it and see what it does and doesn't do. So this is when we find our first problem. This mower has a throttle lever that also works the choke on the carburetor. However, if you try and use it, there's a problem with it. It's not moving like it's supposed to, and it won't stay in the choke position either. So there must be a problem in the choke mechanism or the cable itself. What I'm going to do is remove the air filter cover and see if the choke is actually working. Now this is when we find our second possible problem. This engine also uses a primer bulb and it appears to be cracked. This may not be our issue, but I want to replace it so it works when I need to use it. Now before I start this mower, this deck is set a little low for my taste, so I want to set it a little higher, and this is when I find a third problem. The front wheel adjusters won't move, so I'll have to take a look at them for a problem. Oddly enough, the rear adjusters work fine. Now I'll start by removing the wheel to get to the bolt that the adjuster pivots on. It doesn't want to move at all, so I want to loosen the nut and the bolt and see if it'll help any or if it's actually stuck in place. So apparently that was our problem. Now obviously it's a little bit too loose to mow with, so I'll tighten it up just a little bit, just not as tight as it was. I'll put the wheel back on and then do the same thing on the other side. Now just be careful when putting the wheel back on, as this particular model has a spacer that can easily be lost or forgotten. So let's go back to the throttle cable. Now since I know the choke lever isn't working like it's supposed to, I'll remove the filter cover and take a good look and see exactly what the choke is doing. And it looks like it's not working at all. There might be something wrong on the carburetor itself keeping the choke from moving, so I'll remove the filter base and see what might be wrong with it. Now with the base off, this is also a good time to remove the primer bulb and replace it. After removing the primer bulb, simply work the rubber part off. Now you could replace it as a whole assembly, however the rubber part is really cheap and replacing it doesn't take that much time, so I think it's worth doing. Now this is the part I'm replacing it with. I ordered online as a pack of 5 for only $10, so basically it's a $2 part. It's pretty warm out here, so the rubber is very pliable and you can work the primer bulb back onto the base with just your fingers. Now this is really interesting. There appears to be a seam on the bulb. If you look at the old bulb, this is where our crack is. It's kind of strange that there's a crack here and the seam is here in the same place. Now after working the rubber piece back on, reinstall the primer base back onto the filter housing, and then we'll take a closer look at that cable. So it looks like the cable is a bit sticky and could use an adjustment. However, I did try that and it didn't work, so I'm going to remove it and replace it. Now, to further prove that it is the cable's fault, even after removing the cable from the mechanism, the throttle lever is still not staying in the choke position. It's still bouncing back. So the bottom part of the cable is already disconnected, so the next thing I need to do is disconnect the top part from the lever. Just remove the clip and maneuver it free of the lever, and after that pull the cable away from the mower. Now that the cable is off the mower, I can see there's actually a kink in it. That would explain its problems. Now, more than likely the cable got caught on something while it was being used. Now, this is the new cable that was purchased online and was about $20 after shipping. Now, before you install it, just make sure that it has the same ends as the old one and roughly the same length before you try to install it. I'm going to remove the transmission and belt cover to help run the cable. But after removing it, I realized there's still a bit of dirt underneath this cover. Now, I'm not going to clean this area because this dirt isn't going to hurt anything down here. Now, if you think I'm wrong, please let me know. Now, with the cover gone, I can run the cable and connect the ends to the throttle lever and the choke mechanism. Now, this is how the lever is supposed to work. It's not bouncing off the choke position like the original one was doing. Now, you could probably try saving the old cable by drowning it in a thin oil. However, since it was kinked, I don't think any amount of oil would make it work any better. Now, after connecting the end of the cable and loosely attaching the cable anchor, I'm going to move the lever to the choke position a couple of times and let the anchor adjust itself. Then I'll lock it in place. After that, move the lever from the slow to the fast and then finally to the choke position and make sure it's working like it's supposed to. Now, if you're not sure how it's supposed to move, search online for the operating manual and that should help you. This one seems to be working very well, so I'll put everything back together and then try starting it. Another reason why your mower might not be starting is that the kill switch might not be disengaging. Now, this particular one is very well built, but it can go out of adjustment and not allow the ignition to turn on. It's pretty easy to adjust. All you need are some pliers. As you can see, the throttle works very well now without any issues, and to prevent this from happening in the future, I would suggest keeping the cables clear of anything that they might catch on, but sometimes accidents do happen. So my question is, would you have cleaned the dirt under the transmission and belt cover that I didn't do, or do you think I was just being lazy, or do you happen to agree with me? I'm curious on what your thoughts are. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate your time here. Please feel free to ask any questions. and I hope to see you in my next video.